This is another segment of the Michael G. Nastos Show here on WDEE-TV.com. Happy you're with us on this day online. We stream on Ustream TV, by the way. Look for us there. And it is my pleasure to welcome Ruth Ann Jamnick, who's been a longtime crusader and a champion in the community. She's running for County Commissioner in District 5, and that election is coming up pretty quick. Ruth Ann Jamnick, thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that you're here with us.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
She is, I say, is somebody who's been on the Ypsilanti scene for quite a few years, and I want you to talk about how Ypsilanti and Washtenaw County has changed since you came on the scene, either politically or personally or both.
Okay, well, personally, I was born here, raised my children here.
Were you born in the old Bayer
I'm
Hospital?
a Bayer baby.
How about that?
Yes, all of my sisters and I, Bayer babies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born and raised here, went to school in at St. John's Elementary School, went to high school at St. Thomas. And I'm a graduate of Cleary College, Curriculum B. Great education. So I have worked in government since I was 18 years old. I started in the treasurer's office as a clerical person, worked my way up through supervising clerk and ultimate deputy treasurer. And then I went to work at the road commission for a while. And I'm sitting there one day, and it was just a really snowy winter. And we had the phone where the lights all lit up on the phone. They're blinking, and they've been blinking for 3 days. And I finally said, I think I could do something other than this. So I ran for treasurer in 1974, and I lost. And then I ran again in 1976 because they were just 2-year terms at that time, and I beat the gentleman that fired me. So it was kind of a little nice thing. Until I was treasurer for 22 years, went to Lansing, was our state representative, and came back with supervisor for 4 years and then lost a re-election there. So I remember when Grove Road was gravel, Whitaker Road was gravel. I remember when I-94 didn't exist.
Remember when Washtenaw was dirt?
Washtenaw was dirt, was 2 lanes, didn't even have a passing lane. Everybody blocked traffic and stuff like that. So we've become quite an urban area. Our south side of Ypsilanti Township is basically all subdivisions. There's some farming that goes on, but we have become just an urban area, the city. We pretty much surround the city, the township does, except for a small part on the north side. The relationship between the city and the township has kind of always been a little bit of a struggle. It's a little better these days because...
How so?
Well, the city was the urban core, and the township was very rural, mostly farming. World War II came in and brought all of the people, from the south and from all over everywhere to come together, and that's when our challenges became as far as an urban population.
How much has it changed in the last 20 years, Ruth?
20 years has seen the township grow and the city kind of stay the same. So it's been a challenge for all of us to come together and find what's the right combination between the city and the township to step forward and really be the bright lights on the eastern side of Washtenaw County.
What's the biggest thing that's changed recently for you in a physical sense for the city?
Well, I think the city is when I grew up here, all the stores were open on Friday nights until 9 o'clock, and it was really a bustling commercial area. Now it's becoming more of an entertainment center. It seems to be doing well. Some of the businesses that are doing that are doing very well.
Did you go out on a Friday night and hang?
No, I just go home.
There seems to be a dearth of restaurants and bar scene things going on in Ann Arbor. Is that comparable to what's happening in Ypsilanti and this general area?
I think it's similar. You see more of the places where you can go and have a drink and have your dinner and that type of stuff. The outside setting has begun quite a bit here now, so I think there's some similarities there.
Well, we certainly like to sit outside when the weather is warm. This last winter, not so much, I think.
It was a little nippy.
We're glad that's over and done with, and hopefully never to return. But we'll have winter, and we'll have spring and summer, and we've got Ruth Ann Jamnick with us today. She's running for County Commissioner in District 5. We're interviewing her in our Spotlight segment on WDEE-TV.com online. My name is Michael G. Nastos, and we'll be right back with more. The Michael G. Nastos Show here on WDEE-TV.com, welcoming you once again to our second segment with Ruth Ann Jamnick, who has been a veteran leader, politician, and community-oriented person. She's running for the District 5 County Commissioner in this upcoming election. And I want to ask, under your leadership, in relation to the economic climate, how can new businesses be brought into the immediate area while also retaining support for the mom and pop stores? We notice a lot of turnover in buildings, and it just seems like the larger businesses are not taking over those buildings, yet another mom and pop store might come in, especially in downtown Ypsilanti. Do you think there's a solution for that and how it can change, how we can boost the economy?
I think our challenge is to do just that. It's about not having the local Chamber of Commerce presence here anymore, where there were most of the city fathers at that time, their businesses were downtown. Gene Buttman Ford was downtown. So there's a lot of movement that has taken the businesses out of downtown.
I think of the old Ypsilanti Press building, which was torn down, and now it's just land and nobody's really appropriated it.
Well, but they have plans for it. The city is looking at the recreation center going there. They're looking at some housing there that some people aren't pleased with. They're looking at a dollar store going there, which again, some more people aren't pleased with.
There's been a lot of talk about that.
Yeah, there's been a lot. But I think I don't think we'll ever see the city be what it was before, where we had a lot of the businesses downtown. Downtowns in many of the communities today are unique shops, unique restaurants. They're destinations for people to come to. It isn't that they want to go shopping on Friday night until 9 o'clock and then that type of thing. So that's where the outgrowth has gone into the townships. Most cities are in the middle of a township or adjacent to it. So the land was always cheaper to go there. The opportunity to get your utilities there was a little bit lesser cost. So part of the economics of doing business expansion is making sure that the utilities and those types of things are there and that they're reasonably priced, as well as the price of the property, because in many cases, that's the biggest challenge for business.
Seems like Ypsilanti needs a downtown grocery store. That's something that they've never had. You go out Whitaker Road, you can go to Kroger, you can go down Washtenaw Avenue or Packard or any number of places on the outskirts, but downtown, there isn't quite that big a presence.
No. And it was Brooks Grocery Store. It was on West Michigan Avenue before the road splits. That was the grocery store downtown.
Yeah.
There really wasn't much other than that.
Love their deli.
Their
deli was fantastic.
They were great, but they're not. I don't think you're going to find that. You've got the co-op on River Street, the food co-op on River Street, which is somewhat of a grocery store. Brooks Market is now it's a Mexican food. So I think they're going to be the little unique grocery stores. They're not going to be the large ones.
Yeah. What's the distinction in difference between downtown Ypsilanti, Depot Town, and the immediate area, especially as you go from the campus of Eastern Michigan University west down Washtenaw? And I'd like to know if you think they should be more unified with a similar purpose, or should we celebrate their uniqueness and build up on what they already have?
Well, that's interesting. I sat on one of the DDA committees, Downtown Development Association, and what we have come to believe is that each one has their own uniqueness, and to mesh them all together probably isn't the right thing to do. Depot Town is really the historical center. The buildings are renovated, they're redecorated, and that to maintain what they were. The college area really needs to be, and I think it's trying to be up on Cross Street, it's trying to be attractive to the students. The challenge they have is the dormitories now are more on the north side of campus, which makes it a little difficult for students to get there unless their classes are in that area. So it's in Michigan Avenue it's going to be a downtown, which is going to be destination. It's going to be specific stores that they're going to. It's the bakery, it's the clothing stores. It's not anything, that is going to, you can't find it someplace else.
Is the attraction of Depot Town a detriment to downtown Ypsilanti, Ruth?
I don't think it has to be. I think sometimes there's some friction between each of the districts, but it's because all of them are very passionate about what they want to see in their particular area.
We're with Ruth Ann Jamnick, who's running for County Commissioner, District 5, in the upcoming election. Michael G. Nastos here with Ruth Ann Jamnick, who's graced us with her presence. And we have 2 more segments talking about what she thinks about what can happen for Washtenaw. And it's Augusta Township, too,
It's Augusta,
right? That's
so-
another part of what will be your jurisdiction, should you be elected. This is WDEE-TV.com online. We'll be right back. We are continuing with our candidates forums, our spotlight interviews. Michael G. Nastos Show here on WDEE-TV.com, and we're with Ruth Ann Jamnick, who's running for County Commissioner in District 5. Urban blight and poverty and unemployment and affordable housing continue to be issues. They're all kind of meshed together. And I know this is an all-encompassing question. How can these problems, these continuous problems, be solved? Is there a way to do this besides just throwing money at it and saying we hope that it'll work?
Well, I think we have a lot of organizations that are working today with rehabilitating homes. Habitat for Humanity is one of them. They have restored homes within the city, within the township, and probably within the county. But they've had a heavy presence here, and they're beginning to make a difference. I'm not sure there's a quick solution. I think it's going to be one that's going to take some time. But it also comes back to having me understand as a homeowner what my responsibilities are for my property and respecting my neighbors. And it's not that it's a huge problem, but it's a big enough problem that it's creating some challenges.
Now we have Michigan Works here in Ypsilanti. You mentioned Habitat for Humanity. We see burned out buildings that just sit there. I know that council is doing something about that, but poverty and unemployment is a key issue, especially in this city. What can we do to help these poor people? I mean, we need to find them jobs and be able to give them affordable housing, but that works 1 and 2, and it seems like the employment first and then the housing second is the step.
Well, I think employment is probably the key to more success for anybody, for people, than anything else.
Makes them feel better too.
Well,
on top of that.
it gives you some incentive to get up every day. It gives you some pride in the fact that I'm going to work and I have those amenities for me. The biggest challenge we have is that we've lost our manufacturing, heavy manufacturing here. I think the renovations that will take place at Will Run Airport is a part of the former Aerotropolis, and it's a port now.
I like that word, Aerotropolis.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought, what does it mean now? But when you heard the definition of it overseas and in the European countries, it's very successful. But we don't know what the airport is going to look like now that they've decided to tear down all of the hydromatic plant. The Willow Run Assembly Plant is pretty much just storage now.
How many
auto
people
parts.
did that employ, both hydromatic and the facility?
Oh, I'm going to say between 8,000 and 10,000 at the
Yeah,
height.
that's a lot.
Well, it is a lot, and we don't have those kinds of massive jobs. So we have to look to retail being one of our opportunities for hiring people. We have to look to the college. University is here, Eastern. They're a substantial employment center. But I don't think we're going to see in a long time anything that we had in the past. So we're going to have to get creative and work with Ann Arbor Spark, work with the Chamber of Commerce, work with any organization that we have or in and outside of our Washtenaw County area to begin to do some things for economic development, which means jobs.
You mentioned Eastern Michigan University, and I might want to touch on this just a bit in the last segment, but how can the relationship between the city and EMU be elevated and solidified? And just give a brief answer, and then maybe we'll move on to a little more
Sure.
Detailed answer in the next segment.
Okay. When I was township supervisor, Washtenaw County, the city, the township, and Eastern became partners in the Eastern Leaders Group. And that was the beginning of what I think is ultimately going to be a great thing for the community, because you now have the players, the leadership of the players at the table talking together and working together.
Is there a barrier somewhere in between where the university would like to be separate from the city? What do you think? Is that an accurate statement on any level?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's accurate. I think there's been a difference here in the city and the relationship with the university and the community, in that they sort of withdrew back into their campus. And we need them to again be back very active in the community.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that dynamic, the synergy between Eastern Michigan and the city of Ypsilanti, with Ruth Ann Jamnick running for County Commissioner, District 5 in the upcoming elections. Michael G. Nastos, your host here. And we thank all of our sponsors, by the way, for helping us out in this endeavor, and we hope you're enjoying these candidates forums. We've interviewed all the candidates for the city of Ann Arbor in the mayoral race, and also in Ypsilanti. There are 3 candidates who would be mayor. We'll get back to more with Ruth Ann Jamnick here in just a quick bit. This is WDEE-TV.com online. From the WDEE-TV studios here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, it's the Michael G. Nastos Show, and my pleasure to have guest Ruth Ann Jamnick here with me. We've been reminiscing about Ypsilanti. I have many memories of being in Ypsilanti, from my dad being a state farm agent to living here for a while. And of course, Ruth is a native of Ypsilanti, and she has a lot of stuff that she can background with. But I want to talk a little bit more about the relationship between Eastern Michigan University and the city. And I wonder if you think that it has gotten better, if there was a low point where it wasn't really relevant to the city and they didn't want to communicate with you, or in your history, what do you think is the best part of the relationship between EMU and the city of Ypsilanti?
Well, I think today it's Eastern is coming back out in the community. In the 60s and 70s, Eastern's department people were active in the Chamber of Commerce. They were active in whatever organization that was going on. They were the leaders.
But they were also in turmoil with John Norman Collins and
Yes.
the tension between the students, and especially the musical presentations that were taking place at EMU. And the Office of Campus Life came out of that,
Right.
but in a very difficult way. So the tension in campus between the late 60s and the early to mid 70s, when I was a student, is quite different than it is now.
Right, right.
But that set the tone for many years.
Well, we've had challenges that came before us, and it takes a while to work all the way through them. Sometimes I always believe you need a mix of people that were involved at the time and some new people that are coming in, and that's pretty much what happened with Eastern and their leadership. We had, some challenges with a president who decided he wanted to live in Ann Arbor, because sometimes people and institutions just keep piling on, and then all of a sudden everything falls down, and then you have the ability to create a new relationship, which I think is going on today. I think it was going on with the past president and with the new president. But I don't think they're as active in the community as I would like to see them. I think they're still up on campus and they're doing things. And
It's kind of internal, though.
But it's internal. It's not like they really have a sense. When we were growing up, Eastern was a very big part of whatever was going on in Ypsilanti and the Ypsilanti area. So I'd like to see it come back to that. I think there's some movement with the Eastern Leaders Group to create that, because with that group you're pulling together business and academic and the elected officials to do that. So I think opportunities are there to be very successful.
Absolutely. Name the 3 accomplishments that you feel the most proud of as a person who's worked in politics in the community, and how that can translate to becoming the next county commissioner.
Well, I have worked in government my entire life. I have worked with the counties at the local level. I have worked with the counties at the state level. So I've always interacted with the county officials, and I think that gives me a little bit of a leg up, so to speak, going into the county commissioner position.
Certainly a decent amount of credibility.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah. What other things are you proud of? Name a couple of achievements that you can say, I did that. I helped Ypsilanti in a direct way, or I helped the area because we did this.
Well, I was as township treasurer, I was the Ypsilanti Township's person out in the community, because the meetings were either at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, or they were after 5 o'clock, so most people were going to go home. So I did that. I was a single mom at the time and could make arrangements with my neighbors and family to make sure the children were okay. So I was the external representative out there and had the opportunity to just learn a myriad of things and then be able to connect them in different situations.
What I'm hearing from you is that your greatest accomplishment is perseverance.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just fortunate that people trust me. They still call me at home and say, I need some help with this or I need some help with that.
What kind of things do they ask you for?
Oh, one gentleman owned an airline at the Willow Run Airport and was having trouble with the township treasurer on taxes and stuff like that. And so we worked through it. And I will find you a solution or two, and it's up to me to be able to get you to the next step to where you need to go. He chose not to do anything and go home and finish building his big home out on the lake someplace. But I've helped people connect with the township offices, with the city offices, and whatever businesses that they have. That was always my job.
Is your life as busy as it always has been? Or is it busier because of the complex society that we live in?
Well, it's a little busier because I'm a great-grandma now. I have a little great-grandson that was born a year ago, and so family has demands, and not demands, but they want you to be a little more around than that. But they've accepted their mom's career and what her business is. And it's just always, I was raised with the responsibility that if you have knowledge that will help somebody, that is your job to do something with it.
Well, her next job very well could be County Commissioner for District 5, serving Washtenaw and Augusta Township. Ruth Ann Jamnick has been our guest. Ruth Ann has been kind enough to be with us today, and we thank her. We wish her good luck, of course.
Thank you so much.
And as a person who's been around the Ypsilanti area for many years, I can relate to what she said during this entire course of our discussion, and hope that you've gleaned some great knowledge of it, too. Ruth Ann Jamnick running for District 5 County Commissioner. My name is Michael G. Nastos. We're signing off for this day for the Michael G. Nastos Show online at WDEE-TV.com. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in and hope you'll be with us for the next segment. Thanks again. Bye.